Hey, hello everybody. This is Secondhand Dan coming to you from my estate in Homosassa, Florida land. Weather is beautiful right now. It's like 84 degrees, light breeze, but it's getting ready to rain evidently. So I've got to run around and batten down the hatches. Another thing, this is going to be my last Wednesday for a while, until I get back here in December. Right now, this year is almost the end of May, so I'll be leaving, heading for the Pittsburgh. So I'll be doing my blogging from up there. But let me take care of some business here. We were cleaning out the truck, so better get it all closed up. We're going on a little road trip up to Tampa. We have some furniture in the shed around back. I call it the she shed sometimes, but it's probably still largely my responsibility. She's not doing anything special with it. We just use it for storage, but we do have some furniture in there, a table, some chairs, a mirror, and some decorations to hang on the wall. I have to go to Tampa because the wife's daughter is going to do some staging. She likes to stage a house so it makes it easier to sell. So she's going to be coming down from Pittsburgh to do that, but we're not going to be here when she gets here. So we have to run the stuff over and drop it in a storage locker. So we're going to make a fun trip out of it, because Tampa's basically an hour-ish away, give or take. Depends on how much of a hurry you are. But we're going to yard sale on the way, because I have these yard sale apps I pull up on my phone, and for some reason lately they don't seem to be populating the map around my neighborhood. Oh yeah, we find yard sales around here, but it's just, you know, the old-fashioned way, driving around and looking for signs at the intersections here in our neighborhood. But I noticed that as you travel further south from Homosassa, once you get about 45 minutes away, they start popping up all over my map. So on Saturday, we're going to leave early enough to catch the wave of yard sales and ride it all the way into Tampa till when we get to the locker and drop the stuff off. But like I say, it's getting ready to rain, so I got a few things to pick up off the ground. Let me finish closing up the truck. Well, right now would be the perfect weather for mowing the lawn. If you want to call it a lawn, but you know, with, like I say, it's the sun's not beating down on you. Past couple of days, I couldn't stand to be out here. You know, if it's anywhere in the mid 80s with the direct sunshine and the humidity, it's very uncomfortable. That's why I'm a snowbird. So I'll be heading back to Pittsburgh. But yeah, I say mowing this lawn, if you want to call this a lawn, is what I would be doing if my lawn tractor was working. Just the other day, I got in the mood to go ahead and cut some grass, and I went to engage the blades, and something popped. So that lever's not doing anything. There's no tension on it. So I managed to feel around up underneath the mower deck, and there is evidently a spring about yo long that is snapped in half. That puts the tension on the belt. So I say it's getting ready to rain. So these things came out of the truck. I may as well go over some of the yard sale finds. I think we got the kitty for free. A tray, I'm always a sucker for a decent tray. I have this police patrol box. It's actually a telephone. So I think it's a good eBay item. This is, I think, an inflatable mattress that was being thrown out. It was dirty, but they make great tarps. So I picked that up at work the other day. In this box I have a piece of yellow Pyrex. It's a bit faded. Probably been in the dishwasher too many times. That's the problem with some of the vintage Pyrex. People ran them through their dishwashers in the day, and the detergent just tore the finish off. But over here, I have another piece of Pyrex, and it's in pretty good shape. Nice vintage pattern on it, so I'm thinking that's an eBay piece. And I picked up this. I'm not sure what it's worth anything, but you know, I think it might have been $1. I'm liable to put it on the table where I work at the auction, and every now and then I set up some things for sale that either I figure aren't worthy of eBay, or they were on eBay and they didn't do much. There was no interest in them. Here is a pair of stainless steel wheel covers that I picked up. They are for like a semi-truck. So that would be like the 22.5 inch wheel that those would fit on. So I'll probably offer those up for somebody that has a dinged up or lost wheel cover. I've already sold a smaller size. I have the 19.5 I sold to somebody. I have a couple more of those here in the shed. There's a 19.5 for the back wheel and 19.5 for the front wheels. Check this light out. You can see 2 of the panels are burned out. These things, you know, you get what you pay for. One of the panels is burned out on this. These things aren't even a year old, and you know I really don't have that many hours on them, so oh well. I'll have to try and hunt down a better quality LED. They're screw-ins. Here's something I picked up at the auction. An Elderbrock carburetor, 4-barrel carburetor. And it came with that little one, I believe is a generator carburetor. I think that's new old stock. This was probably on something at one time, but I've listed it on eBay for like $85, so I think I have $5 in the pair. I expect it to sell because I've seen other similar ones selling for like $100. I would have started closer to 100, but I'm leaving, so I'd rather just get her done. Oh, and there's a couple more of those 19.5 rear wheel covers. That one down here is a slightly used. Now with the weather, like I said, it's kind of pleasant right now. I thought I heard maybe just a little sing-songy squeal out of the front end here, so I suspect maybe the brake pads are they definitely need to be checked. So I have no idea what condition they're in right now, so I was going to get the floor jack out and maybe even rotate the passenger side and the driver's side. So let's go get that floor jack. There's that she shed, and it was brought in here, I guess, over 2 years ago, and I think it's listing towards the one side. I know the door binds up, so I need to put a level on the floor and jack it up and shim it underneath this concrete block so as to get it to sit square again, and maybe the door won't bind up. But here's the floor jack, so let me drag that over to the truck. Not the easiest thing. I'm plowing sand, pine needles, more sand. I picked this jack up, I'm sure, at somebody's yard sale. More like I'm plowing it than it's rolling. But we'll get her done. Alrighty. I know I mentioned in a video a while back, was it maybe 2 weeks, I think you could even see I had an ace bandage on my wrist. Well, it still hurts right now. I haven't been wearing the ace bandage So I don't know if anybody else had a wrist problem where it was painful for several weeks before it got better. Let me know. So I have something to, I hope it's good news that it's going to get better. All right, well, I'm going to go grab the four-way. That's underneath the shed here. I saw that earlier when I was out here. I wouldn't have remembered it was here, but I was doing something else, and I said, oh, there's a four-way. I'll probably need that today. Now, this truck's been good to me. I've been, occasionally shopping around on the marketplace looking for tires for it. And either I wanted tires on wheels. And every time I would find a decent set on wheels, they were too far away. Because these are the 5 lugs. Now, it's easy to find a lot of the 6 lugs, but it is what it is. So I might just get another truck, but I hope these make it to Tampa and back. They should. You can see they're getting a little skinny on that side, but no cord showing through yet. But it does mean it needs a front end alignment. Let's take a look at the other side. Now the other side looks pretty good. So I might swap the tires around just to make sure that that tire doesn't wear completely through while I'm on the road trip. And I'm tempted to do a little self-alignment myself. I figure I'll just find whatever I have to loosen up and bump it a hair. All right. I got it right the first time. I like working with these lug nuts. The lug nuts on a lot of your newer model Fords, they have an issue with them swelling up because they're chrome caps. And I don't know, it means they used cheap steel on the lug nuts, which caused to get surface rust that would swell up. And then you couldn't get the 4-ways on. You have to hammer them on, and then you shop them for lug nuts. And all right, they are loose. Okay, we have liftoff. So you gotta watch putting these things down that they don't get all full of sand. So set them carefully down on a nice grassy weed there. Just don't throw them so they don't tumble in the sand and get sand in the threads and go on gritty when you put them back on. These are 16-inch wheels. I've seen 17s, I guess, was an option that was available. So I would really like to go up to 17s. And I have seen just the wheels, with worn out tires. But I said, I'm not driving an hour away, hour back just for wheels. If they were wheels with good tires on it, yeah. But because if I have to, there again, have the wheels and then shop for tires, that's a bit of an inconvenience. That way, if I had the 17s on here, then I could always shop for loose 16 tires. It gives you more options. Right now, the truck would be down if I bought tires for a little while, but all right. Yes. Come on and take a look at this. There is definitely a wear pattern in there. Now I'm just going to go ahead and, I know a lot of people say, you can't do that. I've been doing it since I was in my teens. I'm not buying a new rotor because the pads will match that little bit of ripple there. And the back is perfectly smooth. This area is perfectly smooth, but yes, the pads are worn. Whoop. Hold on. Camera swivel, unintentional swivel. Tighten that up. Okay. There's the pad down there. It's still swiveling. Sorry, guys. And I'm tightening this collarette around it. Oh, I see. It's this stud. Okay. Spin you round. Is that tightening up? I don't know what's going on here. Okay, I think I see what's happening. That is a free moving point. The only way, I guess, to tighten up is an Allen screw. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm looking at myself now. We're all discombobulated. Anyway, I am going to run down to the auto parts store after I eat my dinner and get some pads for this guy. So I'm glad the funny thing was the noise didn't get any worse, and it seemed like it actually went away. So we just heard a little squeak, and it was, I only remember hearing it like briefly one time. And after that I didn't hear it anymore. But you can see there's a lot of thickness on these rotors, so let's see. And this is in a state where they don't have state inspections. So I don't have to worry about anybody saying, your rotor's shot, you have to replace it to pass inspection. No, this rotor will be just fine and dandy. I've actually put pads on worse looking rotors. Like I said, the pad eventually just matches any groove in it. All right, well, I'm gonna go eat dinner and then ride down to the auto parts store. Alrighty then, off to the auto parts we go. Can't take the truck. If I absolutely knew that I was going to be buying brake pads, I probably could have got another trip out of it. But it's just as easy and convenient. I'm not all dirty and greasy, so this is our new car. This is the 2017 Lexus 350, RX 350. It's like driving the Spaceship Enterprise. All right. Back it up. I've only had this car about 3 weeks, I think. This is our private road, which accesses, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 properties. 8 if you count the vacant lot I bought at the end. And it's a little wavy when you get right out here by the road. And I've tried to tell some of the residents, and a lot of the residents aren't full-time, so, but we're like, why don't we all kick in and get a little load of gravel for the end of our private road, or it's the beginning as you swing off the main road. See, the municipality or the county, it's not their road, so they won't do anything. And I guess it could become their road if we were to, I'm not sure all the legalities or red tape, whether you petitioned them to take over it, but then they'll increase your taxes. They would increase the taxes of every resident down there. So all the residents would have to agree that they want that road to become a public road. So because it's private, all the residents are responsible for its upkeep, or we're responsible for its neglect. All right, well, the rain hasn't started. It's still overcast, and I know it said like 85% chance of rain, so it'd be nice if I get this job done before it actually rains. It may not rain, but yeah, I'm approaching a stop sign. It was just a moment ago. You know, they got the white line down on the ground and everything. And as I'm approaching it, you know, two cars that don't have the stop sign, I understand they have the right of way, but they're like cutting the corner. They're like, I have to stop, you know, a good car length and a half before I even got to the stop sign because they want to cut the corner. I don't know why people are so lazy. They're afraid of making a 90-degree turn. They want to make it a 45-degree turn every time. Like this stop sign coming up here. There's a white line, and I had to like stop about here because if I pulled up to the white line up here, the way they were zinging around that corner, they would have taken the front end of my car off. Oops, sorry about that. You're on a tripod. The auto parts stores, well, I have Advance and AutoZone. You know, can't say I have a favorite between the two. I suppose a little further away, I think there's no Riley's. If you think any one of them is better than the other, let me know in the comments, because I can't figure out which everyone is better than the other. Sometimes if I have the time, maybe I'll call around and shop prices, but not today. As brake pads, I don't think somebody's going to be, you know, that much more money than somebody else. So let me know in the comments below what you think is the best auto parts store. You know, trying to navigate these roads between my house and the highway sometimes, it's like a parquet floor with a random pattern. And I haven't quite memorized the back roads. I mean, there's a couple of directions I memorized to get to church or to get down to the flea market, but there's a number of roads that will bring me out somewhere between the flea market and somewhere between the church I attend. And that's what I was shooting for, so I think I made one wrong turn and then, but I don't mind. It's a pleasant drive. Now here I'm coming up on Green Acres. Green Acres, I know, it goes to my church. This guy didn't even stop. All right, well, I'll let you have that, buddy. I guess he figured with that trailer, and he's pulling it with a Nissan Armada or something like that. He probably doesn't like to stop and pull out. He's worried about burning out his transmission. But that definitely was a rolling stop at its finest. So I think he tapped the brakes. It was my right of way, but I ain't that mad. At least I didn't have to swerve or jam on my brakes. All right, right around this bend here is where I attend church when I'm here during the 6 months that I'm here. Well, right around this bend up here. So if you're ever in Homosassa, come on down and check out Christian Center Church. They treat us real good. There it is. Shout out to Pastor Jason Hanks. I was at this church. I actually met a gentleman, and we got to talking and conversations, and he said, I go to an auction over in Inverness. You want to go with me? And I said, sure. And I went with him and walked up to one of the auctioneers and said, you guys hiring? He said, talk to the other auctioneer. He's in charge. So that was a year ago. Well, and I've been working for him. It's been a lot of fun. It's a bit hard on the feet and the back sometimes, but I've been enjoying the atmosphere and the crowd, and I do pick up some deals myself now and then. But here we are, downtown Homosassa, I guess you. This area will actually, if they get a lot of hurricane, you know, especially if the eye comes around, this has been known to flood. Even the church where I attended, I think they said several years back they actually had flooding inside the sanctuary. All right, well, I guess we'll go to the auto zone since it's the first one I'm approaching. So just a stone's throw. Oh, this is Advance. That's what I meant. And just a stone's throw down the road is the auto zone. All right, well, look at that tea bucket. Let me show it to you. All right, I've bought parts here before. I've bought parts at both places. Hey there, I need brake pads for a 1999 F150. Just rear wheel drive.
Okay. Is it disc or drum in the back?
We're doing the front, so it's disc.
What are the rear brakes? It could determine the size of the
Well,
sure?
I think they're drums in the back.
Okay. What size motor?
Was it like a 4.7 or something?
4.6 liter, maybe?
That's it, yeah.
All right. Two-wheel drive. Drum. I've got pads and rotors. You need front rotors. They're about $123.99.
I only need the pads, thank you.
Pads start at $41.99 for our standard. $61.99 for our golds. We have some severe duty brake pads, $67.99, and a professional set, $71.99.
Give me the golds.
You got it. How about some brake cleaner?
No, thank you. I know, almost never buy the lowest quality pad. Just end up changing them a lot sooner.
Brake pads and hardware.
Whole thing.
What's your phone number?
412.
Daniel O'Connor?
Yes.
All right. Be $65.71. Sure you don't need any brake cleaner or grease?
Oil tap.
Ready for your... Would you like a printed or emailed receipt?
Printed.
Okay.
Thank you much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. There goes the tea bucket. right, little show. All right, that sounded mellow. All right, well, let's get back into my trusty steed here. All right, well, I'll see you guys when we get back to the truck. All right, made it back, no problems. I guess the next thing to do is release the caliper. Actually, I should try and put a crowbar in there and jimmy the pad a little bit so as to collapse the piston inside the caliper. Let me get a crowbar for that. All right, I'm going to crank the steering wheel all the way to the right so as to expose the caliper bolts and the edge of the caliper so I can possibly reach down inside it and, like I said, pry on the shoe, the pad. Shoes are on brake drums. All right, you can see that in there I have a little window. I can see the pads, and I can maybe start out with the biggest screwdriver I have and get it in between the rotor and the pad. Looks like I'm gonna need a hammer. Give it a little rap tap tap into the rotor and between the pad. That's the one thing I didn't bring out yet. All right, well, I got my 3-pound Stanley sledge here. You can see I bought it at somebody's yard sale. And just because it says $3 on it doesn't mean I necessarily paid that. Could have bundled a couple tools together and then... oh, there's a spider. Beat it, spider. Beat it. Beat it. I don't think he's poisonous, but spiders still can bite, poisonous or not. There we go. In between the pad and the rotor. Now, give it some pressure. I can feel it retracting the piston. That's the only thing I'm going to get in here is the screwdriver. Anything else is too large to fit in between. Usually it's just back it off a little bit and then the rotor, well, the caliper will easily lift off the rotor. But in Pittsburgh, I have a tool for collapsing the caliper the rest of the way. I don't have that tool here, but I do have hopefully the next best thing. A lot of times it works. Sometimes the geometry is not quite right and it won't work, but I'll use this C-clamp to compress the piston the rest of the way. But may as well take advantage of the leverage I have right now in pushing the pad back in, the piston back in. You can hear it creaking, it's going. Something. They're dual pistons, it looks like. You really don't have to worry about damaging the rotor with a screwdriver tip. Even with a crowbar, you know, it puts a nick in it, it's just gonna get smoothed off after you brake for a little while. Okay, that's far enough. The correct size socket is going to be not that size. Going to be not that size. Oh, I think I pulled the same one out twice. Now, messing up here. Come on. There it is. Okay, I have a little breaker bar. Our breaker bar is just a ratchet type device, except it doesn't ratchet, but it's longer than a ratchet. So you have more leverage to break free. That was easy. Alrighty. I didn't bring out the ratchet. Fortunately, they're very easy to spin. I should just go get the ratchet. Two bolts holding the caliper on. I don't think I've ever seen the caliper held on with more than 2 bolts. Probably somewhere there's a caliper held on with more bolts than 2. But okay, bottom bolt's real easy. Oh, it's already out. Not very long. I'll turn this wheel cover over. Drop the lug nuts in there. The lug nuts, yeah. The lug nuts are over here, so they don't get kicked around, full of dirt. All right, back to this top one. There it goes. Okay, and off comes the caliper. There is a wiped out brake pad. So I first initially heard the noise, I think it was Saturday, and today is Wednesday, so probably should have looked just a little bit sooner when I thought, is that a brake noise or not? Well, all right. Like I say, no real harm done. That groove is minimal. All right. New pads. They really try hard to upsell me on buying some rotors and some grease, some, what else was it? Oh, brake cleaner. Looks like a match to me. It used to be they would give you a little blue goo when you bought pads. I haven't seen that in a while, but I think it's because this is better bonded on the back. Okay, so the thing to do is you have a indicator there that'll squeal. That's that little tip there when the pad wears down, but so far. And back in the day, that almost looks like, you know, you'd say, oh, well, okay, bend that pad, that tip out of the way, because I still have about 1/3 of the life of brake pad to go. But at least you knew to be attentive, because here's the wear indicator on this one, and it doesn't even look like it ever touched. It was because there's not a wear indicator on both pads. Only one pad has the wear indicator per side. And so I guess in this case, that was my wear indicator, when it should have been this. But because they wore uneven, not only did this pad was pretty uniform in its wear, but this one has a slight taper in its wear. So it was bound that this part would start squealing before the indicator touched. I say it's no big issue, but opening the new pads, you should have one with a wear indicator and one with an out of wear indicator per side. So, other than that, all 4 pads are identical. If it wasn't for the indicator on it, they would all be identical. So, Now we know the front pad wore out first, so we'll put the side with the indicator on. They give you these, but I don't see any problem with using the old ones. I've got, oh, maybe it's a little up and down, so will that take some of it out? I hate being in this haunched position, and I'm not eager to kneel down in the sand, so maybe I should go find a pad to kneel on. Okay, I found this scrunched up piece of cardboard. I think it'll be just fine for kneeling on. All right, well, let's pop this pad back out. Go ahead and pop. These are probably identical to each other, upper and lower. Sometimes they're not. But these appear to be identical. Blow the crap out of it. These look a little different than the ones I'm taking off. Oh, this is allocated because there's one that goes inside the caliper. And then there's an upper and lower. Okay. I'm going to pinch my finger in there. I need a little hammer. Oh, here's a little hammer. I think that may have worked. All right. I'll put the upper on. I guess it's more of a, like a bearing surface in theory. What am I doing wrong here? It's upside down. Why does the one side just glide on and the other? Okay. There. Hopefully the pad just drops in place. I've had it before where the spacers made the pad too tight. Okay. Okay, that one is real easy. I said, oh, we're going to put the indicator on the outside this time. Seeing it didn't sound off while it was on the inside. Crumblies keep falling down. Okay. The pads are in place. Now, I have to collapse the pistons. So the trick here is, because it has to dangle from the hose, and I have to have my hands, I might try and get a little cradle to set that on, so it's not dangling by the hose while I'm trying to compress the piston. So let's see what I have in the way of a temporary cradle. All right, well, I found this funky piece of steel. I'm not even sure what it originated from. I think it might have been something I tore apart that came with the shed that I bought when I bought it, and it had stuff in it, but you can see how that's cradling it. So now we're going to take a brake pad, put it on top of the pistons, and take the C-clamp and compress the C-clamp up against the pad, and we don't want that happening. Come back here. Let me slide this cradle in a little further. Okay, that's better. Brake hoses look good. You got to check them for dry rot, for cracks, swelling, fraying. I had on my Pittsburgh pickup truck back home, the brakes wore out, and I replaced them, and they were dragging. So I said, oh, the caliper's bad. I replaced the caliper, and it still did it. Turned out that the rubber brake hose, I guess, was contaminated and blocked. So the pressure would go in, and it didn't release. So I replaced the brake hose, and it was fine after that. Alrighty. So I'm working with what I'm saying is a sprained wrist. But it's been a couple weeks now. So let me put a wrench on that to gain more leverage here. That's working. Yeah, I'm looking at the control arm up here, and the upper control arm. I'm thinking, well, it's got a bolt on each end. If I was to loosen them up, maybe I could slide the control arm just a fraction, like a 1/16 of an inch outward to maybe align it so it doesn't have that wear going on the inside B of the tire. But that looks kind of laborsome. And if I'm buying used tires, I don't know. And it's still getting thousands of miles out of them before. I don't want to pay $200 for a front end alignment. Okay. So now I collapse basically the one piston fully. Now I have to move it more towards the other side to collapse the sister piston. And we got to change that spring inside there. It came with the brake pads. Yeah, issue with two pistons is, in this method of collapsing it, is one piston wants to start coming back out while you're collapsing one. So you might have to go back and forth a couple of times, or use two C-clamps. Okay. I have to go back to the first piston again. Like I said, I think it ventured out just a little bit. And what happened with the other truck, I think the piston, the caliper wasn't so much bad until I think I compressed it, the piston, and they wouldn't come back out. I thought, well, maybe I'll rebuild it. Those pistons wouldn't budge. I had compressed air in it and everything. So I just replaced the whole caliper. And then I eventually ended up replacing the brake hose too. All right, well, here's this spring here. Replace it with this here. All right, and pad fell out. Sometimes you have to tap them in place, and then you got ones like this that they just fall into place. All right, well, make sure you don't get your brake hose twisted, and put the caliper back on. So my wrist hurts. It's hard holding this up. Okay, that looks like it's going to fly. Except I caught this one pad. There we go. Alrighty, it looks like it's falling into place. Alright. Close, but there we go, a little lift. Okay, attached. Move this out of the way. You can feel those springs, the spring I put inside the caliper right here, pushing. So, I guess it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Okay, where's, here we go, the socket. I get the proper size wrench. That is a 13. What did I happen to have out? Oh, I got a half inch, or 12 millimeter, it's not half inch, okay. I was gonna say, I didn't think I brought out a standard set. 13. I will not make you watch me change the other side as well, because redundancy, and plus I think the video is approaching the hour mark. And the operation is a success. So, little hand hammer, and then a little actual hammer. Nothing ridiculous. I'm sure there's a torque spec for this. I made it 50 years without torque specs on my caliper bolts. So it's a good idea right now is to go inside and push the brake pedal and get the pads to land. Some people have made the mistake of changing, especially if you change them both sides and you don't do that, and they get in, the pedal goes to the floor immediately, taking up the slack in the caliper. So rather than have that sneak up on us, we'll go ahead and do it now. You're not going to see anything happening, but I'll push our brake pedal here on the one, and I push halfway down. Okay. I'm confident that it's pumped the caliper snugly against the brake pads again. I'll say. Yep. Okay. So what I want to do now, and I'm not even going to walk you through that because it's almost in the department of redundancy, is take this tire, I'll show it to you now that we have it out in daylight, and put it on the other side. So I can start wearing the one on the passenger side, get it to eventually look like this. And meanwhile, I'll still start concentrating on wearing down this rubber rather than just out there, because the alignment on the other side seems to be just fine. So in order to go ahead and do that, I have to lower the truck without the wheel on it. And that's a little issue because I say I'm sitting here in sand, and my jack stand is probably just going to go push itself down into the sand. So I'm going to try and find something to support the jack stand to broaden its surface area so it doesn't push down as easily. All right, well, I found this piece of plywood. and it will help distribute the weight of the jack stand, so it's less able to push down into the sand, lowering my truck an excessive amount. All right, well, I guess that's as good as it gets. Take it on down. Always try and crack open the floor jack slowly. All right. Well, you've been with me through the better part of this job, and I see no point for education's sake, or even entertainment's sake, of you following me as I do the other side. But I appreciate you being with me and watching my video. So go ahead, like and subscribe. Please give me some comments. I'd be interested to hear something. I appreciate subscribers. I'm not killing it in that department, but I'm happy with the ones I have. But let's make that number bigger. So give me a like, subscribe, and a thumbs up. All right, Secondhand Dan. Bye.